As we transition to the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and Tagpros learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because Tagpros believes that education is a right all children deserve.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Luis, a grade school English teacher and EdTech integrator. at Savior School. And I will be your host for today. Welcome to Tagpros Teachers Can Create, upskilling teachers as content creators and instructional material designers. This webinar workshop series is brought to you by Tagpros Children in partnership with Tagpros Education, an up-and-coming K-12 online education marketplace where passion takes the lead in learning. This event is also made possible by the Department of Education, International Cooperation Office, Teacher Education Network, and Next Series. Last webinar, Dr. Venus Albaruto joined us, and she talked about how we can use strategic intervention materials to improve student outcomes in distance learning. Today, we will have a kamustahan with our teachers as Miss Ivy Enaje and Mr. Jim Tuscano. We'll discuss how we can manage teacher burnout and stress. Yes, something very timely for all of us. But before we go there, let's have an attendance check and recognize participants. All right, I see that we have, wow, a lot of teachers from Farao ES Gamu, District Division of Isabela. Good afternoon to you, Mr. John Isnani. Magandang hapon. Hello. Good afternoon. Watching from Sorsogon. Clearly, we have audience from all over the country. Watching from Mangsi National. All right. Iligan City, also. Wonderful. Muntinlupa City as well. Hello, Ma'am Rosario. And from Nilagan, La Union. Oh, wow. All right. From Pangasinan as well. All right. Hashtag Tagpros Official. From SDO Angeles City too. All right. Good afternoon. Watching from Sultan Kudarat. Okay. From Malawin Elementary School, SDO Camarines Norte. Okay. From Pasig National High School Division of Pasig City, Iloilo. We clearly have an audience from everywhere. From Binyan City as well. Okay. It's good to hear and see from a lot of you. Thank you so much. Hello from Tagpros Education and Tagpros Children. We are very glad to have you here with us today, virtually. Now, before we continue, I'd just like to give a couple of reminders for everybody to practice responsible digital citizenship and also to refrain from sharing personal information such as our emails and contact numbers, all right? And also, more importantly, let's also be civil to one another in the comment section. Another reminder, registering for the workshop, the webinar workshops, or just watching the webinar workshop does not make you eligible for an e-certificate. So let me repeat, simply registering or watching our lovely webinar workshops does not make you eligible yet to receive any certificate. You have to answer the evaluation form after every session. All right, you have to answer it. It is released at the end of every session. And also take note that after we open the form, you only have 1 week, okay? We have 1 week before we close it, all right? Up until Friday, 11:59 p.m. I repeat, you have until Friday, end of the week, up until 11:59 p.m. After that, no matter if you watch the webinar workshops or registered for it, you cannot answer the evaluation form anymore. Yes, so we really do hope that you understand and remember this. Okay. Now, I'm very excited for this next portion as we are going to meet our panel for today. Now, if you've been with us since June, you have already met her, okay? She is the chairperson of the K-12 Filipino department at Xavier School and one of the Tagpros pioneers. Please welcome Miss Ivy Enaje.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be back. Thank you for the invite.
Hi, Miss Ivy. Good afternoon. May I just ask, how are you doing for today? How is everything over there?
Well, it's kind of raining, but I'm hoping na it will not prevent us from delivering our session today.
And there's passion right there. Thank you so much, Miss Ivy Enaje. And now, for our next panelist, I am sure you all know him. He has been the host of the webinars for the past months, and he is also, take note, the Chief Programs Officer of Tagpros Education. Let us all welcome Mr. Jim Tuscano. Yes, I'm sure we're all familiar with Mr. Jim Toscano. He has been very active in all of the previous Tag Pros webinars. And then I'm very excited for all of us to see him in a bit. All right. Now, everybody, the theme of today's panel is, I'm sure you've seen it from the ads on our Facebook page, on our Instagram pages, and all of our social media sites, that it is entitled Teacher, Titser, or Teacher, Teacher, Kaya Pa. Oh, isn't that a very timely topic for all of us teachers here in the Philippines, all over the world, to all us educators? You know, without a doubt, the pandemic has stretched us beyond our limits. And for us teachers, we have been challenged in so many ways. We have to relearn. Yeah, that's the key word. We really need to relearn the things we know about teaching and make it apt for online distance learning. And again, I'd like to welcome Mr. Jim Toscano today, our Chief Programs Officer at Tagpros Education. Mr. Toscano, how are you today?
Sorry, good afternoon, Luis. Good afternoon, Ivy. Sorry for being late. So maybe I'll just share why I am late. For our audience right now, we're actually running a free teacher training program on online education. It's five CPD units worth. And today is their last day, so we're talking about requirements. So I got caught up. By the way, just a plug, we will have our batch 2 on November. It's a free training with CPD units. So if you are very interested, watch out for our announcement. But by the way, I'm just so happy to be here. It's nice to be here, not as a host, but as a guest. So thank you, Luis, for being here. And it's nice to be with our Ginang, Ivy, and Sinares.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Toscano. Everybody, if that is not dedication, I do not know what is. All right, let us now continue. As I was saying, we have to relearn the things that we know and make them apt for online distance learning and learn things to be able to continue teaching in this new normal. Yes, that is a term that we have heard over and over again, in this new learning environment. Now, we had to adopt these things, these changes at such, at a fast pace, you know, that it seems that we have not had the chance to catch our breath. All of us are very busy in the middle of so many things. We just need to take a breather every now and then. Have we given ourselves a moment to ask ourselves how we're doing? Teacher, kaya pa ba, teacher? I'm sure we have all asked that question at one point in our journey as an educator, no matter where we are from. Teachers all across the world, the Philippines. That is one question that we've been asking ourselves. Whew, how are we doing? And how are we managing the stress and the burnout that comes with these changes? And now, for our very first question, what are common signs that we need to pay attention to? All right. Now, not to put you on the spot, but let's hear from Miss Ivy Enaje what she has to say. All right, the question is, what are common signs that we need to pay attention to?
Ayan, good afternoon again, everyone. So, before I comment on that question, disclaimer, no, I am not a professional clinical psychologist, no. I would be sharing my thoughts based on my experience and my observation with my co-teachers, no, working with them through before pre-pandemic and during this online setup. So signs of burnout, actually, maybe we could identify first the scenario. It's really different, no, from the face-to-face and the online burnout that we're experiencing. I think face-to-face, it's kind of easy to spot burnout. No, there's a physical manifestation. There's a you can see in terms of how our co-workers deal with interaction, no, through interaction. But now it's really hard to grasp if they're really experiencing burnout because what we can only see is more or less, no, how they deliver the their work. So if they can manage to um, pass unit plan online, they can follow up students online on time, then you could say, oh, they're doing well. Diba? Oh, they're doing their job. No? But behind the camera, behind the documents that we are looking, no, through our computers, what is actually happening with our teachers, and that is something that's really really hard to spot. So signs of burnout during pandemic, for me, I think the stud if no, I will not tell the name of the teacher, but one of my teacher stop no what do you call that, leave the group chat. So, but he asked permission to leave the group chat for his mental well-being, and he asked me that if there's an important or urgent things that he needs to do aside from doing the regular tasks like passing the unit plans, because he's doing that naman on time ahead of time, just email him. But he will not engage in our group chat. So I sense that, oh, something is happening in my teacher. Okay. So and that's the time that I talk to him personally. What's happening to him? Other signs that they will verbally tell you that they're tired and they don't know what to do, and just tell us what to finish, and they will pass it and they will not communicate to you anymore. They will ask any detail about the task. They will just do it, pass it, and that's it, and they're off. So something is happening with them, no? Um, and I think in my experience, it's really hard. As an administrator, you really need to do extra effort to kumusta ka na, ano nangyayari sa'yo. I think I'm just lucky that the teachers under my under the department, they're very open, no? They're very open to me. Parang talagang they will tell me what's happening, no? Even personal matter, and that's makes our job easy. But in other scenarios, like maybe in public school or in other institution, that we cannot tell, no? How can we help our teacher?
Thank you so much for that, Miss Enaje. Yes, while I was listening to you, I really just thought of three keywords that really should emulate with all of us teachers: unseen, unheard, but always there. Unseen, unheard, but always there. You know, thank you for sharing with us your wisdom, Ms. Enaje. In fact, we have really been feeling this ever since this work from home setup, this online distance learning. We could be going through so many things, but because of our fighting spirit, because of our will to go on, we really choose to brave through whatever challenges we face. And yes, that may be a good thing. It may be good for the school, may be good for the institution, but at the same time, we don't catch ourselves. We even dread that beep of the Viber notification or that pop-up notification from Gmail on the upper screen. Thank you so much, Miss Ivy. Now, I'd really like to hear from Mr. Tuscano on what he thinks are signs of burnout. What should we look out for?
Yeah, I agree with what Ivy has mentioned. It's really more about when where we're not experts, we're not expert clinical psychologists or psychiatrists, but working with teachers and doing some research, especially when this pandemic has started. One of the key ideas behind teacher burnout, it's like, in with the image of a candle, yung na tama ba ginang inahe na nauupos na kana. I mean, like because right now there are a lot of essays, articles that are out, which compares or asks us to differentiate burnout with demoralization, because those are two key things. When I speak about burnt out, yung naubos yung energy mo, right? It's as if everything leads to exhaustion. Um, you try to give and give, work and work and work, especially with teachers. Teachers are perfectionists. Some teachers will complain. Some teachers will, express their thoughts about that work, about that requirement. But in the end, they know that they will have to do it. So, maririnig mo sila, magko-complain, ang dami mong pero in the end gagawin nila. Exhaustion comes in at the end because the work is too much, especially with the pandemic, for example, because doble, like the work of the teacher, I don't know, it's multiplied. Some teachers are parents, so they have children to take care of. Some teachers are also children of their own parents, so they have to take care of the older members of their family. Um, some teachers who have no family are also engaged with other kinds of engagement or work outside their school, or most of the time they are also asked to support other teachers. So you have that thing. One of the key signs really is that it's hard for you to focus on your work. um Personally, I've seen a professional counselor, a professional at the onset of the pandemic or last year. One of the key things that I've learned about burnout, my burnout, is that the reality of insomnia, or it's hard to sleep, because it's as if, like, you're too tired, but don't even have the energy to make yourself at peace, especially at night. So there are a lot of reasons for it. It varies from person to person. But I will just have also to emphasize that not all teachers who do not feel the burnout coming out doesn't mean that they're also doing well. There are teachers who might not feel the burnout, but they are demoralized, which means that the values or the things that they wanted to do when they wanted to become a teacher, or they become a teacher, they feel that they're not doing it anymore, they're not effective, the morale goes down. So I think it's important, because a lot of us, I don't know if Ivy would agree with me or our audience will agree with me, we oftentimes use burnout to describe the other, right? Well, in fact, they are two separate things that need to be discussed also. Like demoralization among teachers, that has been happening even before the pandemic, especially because of the workload, the condition, the salary, things like that. So they feel like they're demoralized because, or even sometimes because they really don't see the school leadership of their school, being effective, or things that they want to do are not being done. So that's one legit conversation that needs to be done. However, we're talking about burnout here. A lot of it are, they can be seen physically attributes. So yung mga eye bag, makikita mo naman yan, di ba? So those are physical manifestations, psychological. But all of this actually affect the work or the performance of the teacher.
To add to that also, no, in my personal experience also, no, uh you give really too much, you give more than what you can give, because you love your profession. I think one thing with our with us teachers, no, we don't neglect our profession as if we just want to get a salary and that's the end of it. Diba? Because we have this very the weight, no, is to help our students. So now I observe my teachers, they're doing more than the way they do during the face to face. They're more efficient, they're more effective teachers, but they're too tired and they don't know where to end those to ease that tiredness. So parang hanggang kailan to? Hanggang kailan to? The question is hanggang kailan to? They're more than willing to do. They're more than willing to help the students. No, they don't want the students to be left behind. No, no students to be left behind. But they're too tired and they don't know how to help themselves.
I agree with Ivy. Actually, one of the key ideas, or not key ideas, one of the manifestation really of teacher burnout is, teachers do not take care of themselves anymore, right? Or proper time of sleeping. Oh, by the way, a teacher who is burned out doesn't mean that pumapayat si teacher. Hindi lang, that's not the only case. It's
True.
the opposite
Yes.
also. Like, we're not, bashing people because of their weight, but we need to be more careful because most of the time, a certain weight loss, weight gain, especially, it's not, hindi naman conclusive to, but that's also one way of looking at it. Personally, for me, when I'm stressed, I eat a lot. And with all the chicks. So
Yeah.
some people will not eat, right? Because they have to work and work.
Mm-mm.
Ako po, katabi ko yung pagkain while working. So those are the things that we need to watch out for. But it's also good, I don't know, I would if you would agree with me also, but it's also good to have access to professional that can help you because sometimes it's also difficult to self-diagnose, to do
Yes. Yes. That's
self-diagnosis, like,
very true.
I feel burnout. I have burnout right now, and most of the time people wouldn't even care because sasabihin lang nila, it's also because it's just what you think,
Mm-mm.
right? But it
Mm-mm.
should not stop you also from pushing yourself to say that I'm already tired, I need to rest, right? So there.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree with you more, Mr. Toscano and Miss Ivy. In fact, what comes to mind when you mentioned earlier that we are all coming from different backgrounds or different contexts. Some of us have families, we're kids, we're parents, we're bosses. It was amplified with this online distance learning, and that also contributes to our burnout. The line between the home life and the work life, it's really blurred. Like
Mm-hmm.
things that we used to be able to do at work, we can focus because whether at work, we know the house is taken care of. We had concessions for that. When we're at home, we know that is our priority. The work takes second place. Sometimes we even leave our gadgets at work. But
Yes.
now everything is cluttered in one common area, and you put those two things together, then they're not meant to mix. It
Mm-mm.
really it clouds the difference. So the line between home life and work life, it's unclear. Thank you, Miss Enaje and Mr. Toscano.
Luis,
That
Luis,
really, yes,
we have
yes,
Ivan, I have a question. Is that
yes.
something what you've said, is that something that really is manifested by the things behind you?
Oh my
Because
goodness, I'm quite embarrassed. I wish I had more time to fix my things, but I have the toys of my son over there. I have my grilled cheese sandwiches for my daughter over there. I usually have my setup more aesthetic, but because of the light, I had to, I had to move it. I plan to put some plants at the back. Really give some succulents there. Thank you for pointing that out, Mr. Toscano. And speaking of that, we also have a very nice, a nice comment from Miss Manolita Ramos Oligo. The reality, people in caregiving, like teachers, often find it easier to tell others to take care of their health than to do so themselves. Really connected to what Miss Inahe was saying about self care, because public school teachers are encouraged to focus and give all our energy on others, so little on ourselves. It's like we can read each other's minds. This is exactly what Mr. Toscano and Miss Ivy were pointing out. I just have two more. From Miss Vanessa Nieves, I just gonna give one more. with all of the ongoing and overlapping. Ayan, yan, because of our work from home setup, everything is overlapping. With all of the overlapping events and duties at work, I also feel at the verge of being burned out. We feel you, ma'am. I agree with the insomnia and feeling demoralized. We all feel for you. Same, Sir June. I ate a lot po. Wala na pong oras ang pagkain ko. My lunchtime is already late afternoon. Ang dami pong rush reports that need to be compiled. Yes. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Luis, I just want to give a comment in here, like yung
Yes,
eating.
yes, of course.
I don't know. Even before the pandemic, when I became a teacher, the first talent that I learned is to eat your lunch in 5 minutes. I don't know, like that's the first thing that I've noticed when I during my first year of teaching. If before, because fresh from college, right? You have your barkada eating with you during lunch. But when I became a teacher, it's as if I've learned how to eat my lunch in five minutes. And I think it's really because a lot of our work as teachers, you know, while there's a fixed schedule, there are also other jobs that are entrusted to us. Like
Mm-mm.
there's meeting here, meeting there, you have to check, and then you have to make a follow up. So the overlapping of events is much, or expectation is much, no, it's doubled or tripled right now. It's really difficult because there are we are taking care of ourselves, of other people in our family, and also of children outside, or maybe outside of our, even
Yes.
of our immediate circle. Here's the thing though, I don't know if Ivy has a comment on it. Most of the time, I don't know if there are people, but most of the time, sometimes as teachers, we feel guilty of not pushing ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, for example, pag nag-chill tayo, it's as if we're missing something. It's as if meron tayong hindi na ginagawa, right?
Yes, yes,
There's a certain, I don't know if everyone gets that. Pero parang
yes.
nagigilty tayo pag nag-rest tayo, or minsan dahil ba sa schedule natin, like we have to look for things that we are doing, some that we need to do. That's why even resting, self-care could be also it could give us a feeling of guilt, right?
I can relate to that, Jim, no,
Yeah.
because as an admin, teachers, diba, they're dependent on you on daily basis. So in terms of decision making, you need to check all the unit plans or handouts that need to be delivered, no, on that day. So I myself, no, even I'm sick, I had to check my email. I need to message them, confer with the teacher if an urgent email comes out. I have to attend to that. So I do not have time really for myself. And if I really took time off, parang I have this sense of, oh my God, ano na kaya ang nangyari? Like, so it's really hard, no, to, no, I don't know, maybe, I think this is what makes us special, no, teachers, no, na we have I don't know if it's good or bad, but we will not be, no, in a monument to be declared as heroes. No, walang magpapalagay sa atin ng mask para lang maging heroes tayo. Pero uh, up to the last minute of our day, we're all thinking of our students. If you're administrator, you're thinking of your teachers. Just like Nomi, I just add, yesterday, I told my teacher, no, na I will not open my email. I will not message anything about work. You don't email me too. Okay. And then suddenly, after 30 minutes of that announcement, an email came out instructing us to do something, and it will involve teacher. And the time frame is kind of, dapat ngayong weekend. So parang I am torn between my job and
Yeah.
the well-being of the teachers, no, and my well-being too. But I choose the well-being of the teachers because in the end, no, um, if we will not take care of our teachers, if we will not take care of ourselves, who will do these tasks? The tasks
Yeah.
will always be there, no? But if we lose the spirit of the teacher, well, it will bring a bigger problem, a much bigger problem to us. So I think I choose the welfare of the teacher because I believe the teacher will deliver. I believe they will do their best, but we have to give them time to rest. So yun, I think as an administrator, that's my pledge to my teachers that during weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I will not mention anything about work.
Of
This is
course.
your life because Mondays to Fridays, they don't have life. Yeah, just like what we're saying a while ago, no? The line between your work and your home life,
Yes.
no, there's no demarcation anymore, di
Mm-hmm.
ba? So,
Yes.
so practically, they don't have personal life from Monday to Friday. So give that Saturday and Sunday to them. Yun na lang yon, 'di ba? Yun na lang yon.
Yeah.
So I think it's an
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, maybe I'm airing too much, but hindi naman yun pagnanakaw ng mga natin. Hindi naman natin pagnanakaw sa trabaho natin
Mm-hmm.
uh, to rest because we did too much. I can attest to that sorry, no, during face to face, I have rest time. I can take a nap 30 minutes nap, lunch, sometimes in the afternoon kasi medyo takot, di ba? Pa. But mind you, now I'm working at home, I can't even pee on time. I just realized, ihing-ihi na ako. And the CR is just 5 steps away from my seat. So imagine that ako lang to. I don't have children. I don't have parents to attend to. No, I have
Yeah.
a daughter pero
Mm-hmm.
malaki na siya so I don't care much about him. Pero ako lang to. Diba? Ako lang to. So how much more those teachers who are grappling too much responsibilities at home.
Um, here's I just want to add also, Luis, if it's okay.
Of course.
What a few years ago, and I know you guys know about it. I started scheduling joggings in the morning and in the afternoon. I think 6:15. I'm already jogging in the afternoon, in the morning, or if if it's already 4 or 4:30, I have to go out and jog. You know what triggered me there? It's because, well, aside from my weight before, which was, I don't know, I think it's coming back right now because of the pandemic. But it's because my doctor friend told me already that I have to make sure that I take care of myself. She was like, you're not young anymore, and whatever things that you do right now will affect yourself in the future. So what the doctor has advised me is that, there are non-negotiable schedule. Like for example, in your as a teacher, you cannot move your classes because those are non-negotiable, those have been set. You can also do that with your schedule. Like for example, if you say 4 o'clock, I stop working and I need to start running, you can actually do that. And it was very difficult at some point because I know that, as teachers, work does not end at 4 p.m. Most of the time there are work, but I get to put that discipline of exercising, which actually helps me. When I jog, I know Luis jogs with me at some point before. um it's also my time of reflection, so I do not like to jog with other people. So some people would jog with it with other people, nagjo-jogging ka tapos nagkukwentuhan. Ako naman noon, nagjo-jogging ako, wag niyo akong kausapin kasi nagre-reflect ako. Yun na yung time ko para mag-isip-isip. And that was very helpful because it helped me in my weight, but it also helped my disposition. So right now, I think I cannot relate much on the family, but I know because I have sisters who are teachers. My mother is a teacher, so I can imagine the stress of being a teacher parent. But as a person, regardless whether you're married or not, we need the weekend or the time off, even to pursue our own interest. One of the key reasons why teacher feels the burnout it's because they don't have anything to do anymore. Do not have time to do
Yes,
things.
yes.
Weekend, lesson plan pa rin, pagche-check
Mm-mm.
pa rin.
Mm-hmm.
Eh, Monday,
Yes.
everyday na, ganun pa rin. So, I don't know. We try to say that teachers are heroes, not wearing cape. Teachers make sacrifices. Teachers do this and do that. Sometimes borderline, it might be too much, you know, maybe too much. Tama ba yung word, Ivy? Romanticism of it, of our job
Roman-
as teachers,
romanticizing, yes.
romanticizing romanticizing our work already, that we always, it's always palabas.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Nothing is kept for ourselves. So yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you so much to our lovely panelists. To add to that, another thing came to mind. Thank you, Miss Ivy. Is that we don't even allow ourselves to enjoy the things that we deserve because of our desire to pursue excellence. We let the break be robbed of us. We should embrace it. We should embrace the weekends, embrace our avenues to allow us to de-stress. If we want to do it, let's do it. Probably, I just want to say that we shouldn't allow ourselves to be robbed of that. Thank you for sharing. And I think this second question is very much related to the first one. And in fact, I think we kind of covered it already. But if in case there's anything that we missed, are there any common sources of stress and challenges this time of pandemic? And I think I want to connect it to the third question as well. It's a two-parter. Can we address this? Is it something that we should do internally, or is it something that should be a school-wide or an institution solution rather? Let's ask Sir Jim for this one, for the first one. Yeah.
Well, just to clarify, stress, there's no work that has no stress. Even life outside work is stressful.
Uh-huh.
Stress doesn't also mean negative things, right? Because there are some stress that fuels a person,
Mm-mm.
right? Like for example, personally, most of the time I really thrive when I'm pressed for time, when I feel like I'm so stressed out. But when I'm stressed out, the adrenaline's coming out,
Mm-mm.
and if I compare my performance, it's sometimes much better because I don't think too much. If I have time, if I have too much time preparing for
Yes.
something, I don't think that could be very much helpful to me. So there are some stress that are good stress. I remember this when my counselor told me because sabi niya, walang work na hindi stressful eh,
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
right? Lahat mayroon kang
Tama.
mapapansin na stress. It's what you do with that feeling that will make a difference. You can either go with the flow, pause and or stop muna, or things like that. So therefore, siguro baka akalain ng mga teachers natin na ang teaching dapat hindi stressful. Parang hindi naman po ata. Minsan kasi kahit students ang kaharap mo, nakaka-stress na, right? Tapos kung may parents pa, 'di ba?
Oh, yes.
Nakaka-stress din. So, one of the key reasons I think is most I don't know if it's the proper term is overload, or maybe there's just too much job being expected of us.
Mm-mm.
Okay lang sana if there's enough time for it. That's why there's always a debate, not just in the Philippines, but even outside the Philippines. When you go to UNESCO, UN, there are a lot of studies that says maybe we need to review the workload of the teachers vis-a-vis the number of students that they're
Mm-mm.
teaching,
Mm-mm.
vis-a-vis the requirements that
Mm-mm.
is asked. If some people ask for what's the ideal, actually there's not even like a clear data on what is ideal. But what is very important for me there is, the system itself should make sure that there is a time for the teacher to breathe,
Mm-mm.
to pursue other things. Like for
Mm-mm.
example, labor code says, if Saturdays and Sunday no work, no work talaga,
Mm-mm.
right? So though there are already things, there are certain measures or laws or codes that are already in existence.
Mm-mm.
So ang tanong, do we follow? Right? In France, for example, I remember they have a law that you cannot send text messages or email. Is that in France? I'm not quite sure if that's in France, but But there's a law that says you cannot send email or text that are work related. And by the way, this is what I've loved. I've been to Australia like, I don't know, twice or thrice. When 4 p.m., 5 p.m. hits, all establishments are closed. Stores, bars, unless they're the required ones. But
Mm-mm.
this is before pandemic ha, hindi po 'to ano, curfew, even before. Because all people, all those who are working go back to their family. So by 5 PM, sarado na ang theater, sarado na yung ibang malls, sarado na yung lahat-lahat and they go back. So 'pag nag-grocery ka ng hapon noon, nung first time ko dun, I think it was in Melbourne, 5 PM kasi din na natapos yung conference, wala na kaming mahanap na store.
Mm-mm.
And that's what they told us because when 5 p.m. comes, everyone goes home. It's family time.
Yeah.
So there. Sana all.
That is
Sana all. Mm.
sa- before we hear from Miss Ivy, I couldn't agree more, Sir Jim. In fact, talking about stress, it's really a matter of choosing where you want to invest, where you want to be. There's going to be stress everywhere. So where do you want to plant your seeds? Even if it's not teaching, it's really going to be stressful wherever you are. So choose where you want to be, stick to it, plant your feet, and gird your loins. All right, Miss Ivy, is there anything you'd like to share as a follow up to this
Well,
question
I
before we move
think the
on?
same thing, no? It's about loading, no? And um, multiple, what do you call that? Job description. Diba? Parang, especially, no, in public school, no? Public teachers, my friends who are teaching in public school, no? Uh, especially this pandemic, no? They would go to the mountains, no, to deliver the module, and then back and then get it and check it, no, and follow up the students. They meron pa sila brigada eskwela where they go to each houses, no, to teach some concepts or nahihirapan mga bata. So imagine that that burden, and after that they have to make the report, no, and then there's deadline. So sabay-sabay na trabaho. This the sharing of my friend who's working in public school. So I can't imagine that kind of burden. At the same time, thinking of your health, the health risk, no, while doing that modality. So I think that no, the stress is not helpful this time, no, that kind of, the
Yeah.
motivation is really good, that you really want to help the students, no, no one will be left behind, but no, while doing that, parang naman you're putting yourself, no, at risk. I think that's something na we should, that's the institution should ano, consider. uh and it's really it's systemic eh. So yeah, it's systemic, and if private institution maybe could do something like, of course, in our school, no, the administrators, no, would set up health, professional health, no, for mental wellness, in place some policies like wellness leave, or afternoon sessions, like if you have other skills to share, like Sir
Ivy,
Luis, no,
Ivy, Ivy, you
teaching
should share.
music. Yeah, parang share din ako ng putahe ni Inahe na for fun lang, diba? Because, well, during pandemic, that's my stress release also, no? I learned to bake, no, to, cook and so on. But we have to think of the teachers who do not have that capacity, that privilege to do that. And their work really is focused on delivering what is expected of them as teachers, especially if you're in a public school system, especially in the provinces. That's really hard. I could see the posts of my friends or my classmates in high school, no, teaching parang hapon na yata to,
Mm.
tinuturuan niya yung bata sa bahay. So, just imagine that burden. But I applaud them, but I will not romanticize their passion. Uh, what they need is help, no, and um, maybe an institutionalized system where these teachers will be taken care of. Hindi pwede
Yeah.
yung thank you teachers or your great teachers
Mm-mm.
are doing good.
Mm-mm.
That's not enough because even without pandemic, they're doing that.
Yes.
So if we want our teachers to deliver well, if we want our teachers to be efficient and effective educators, maybe we could think of ways to help them. So I just like as Jim's sharing a while ago, if possible, give them time for themselves, give them time for their family to do things outside their work. Uh, Before pandemic, no, may gimmick, no, may some teachers would say yes, walwalan sila, 'di ba? O, mat wala nang walwalan ngayon, bawal na 'yan, 'di ba? Bawal 'yan. They don't have time to go to restaurant to chat, 'di ba? So I think we really have to think of ways on how to help our teachers.
If I
Yes, if
may
I may
add,
just,
Louis,
yes,
sorry.
of course. Yes, of course.
I yeah, I just wanna for me, I wanna take this opportunity because there are a lot of instances or maybe opportunities where for example, we listen to DepEd. DepEd is actually pushing for, maybe you can work on self-care for teachers. But I want to take this opportunity because even if the for example DepEd Central Office is saying those things, and in the end, I just want to challenge the school leaders, the principals of every school, whether private or
Mm-hmm.
public. Don't just challenge your teachers to look for innovation on instruction. Right now, I've seen a lot of innovation about distance learning. The tricycle, the truck, the boat, going for literacy and everything. You know what? We want holistic students. It's not just literacy. I know that literacy is something that we want to push, right? Literacy and numeracy skills. However, remember, a child who is hungry, a child who is not happy will not learn those literacy skills, numeracy skills that you are teaching. So I think what I want to say really is I challenge the school leaders right now, the principals, maybe don't just push for instructional innovations. Maybe push for social emotional learning innovation, mental well-being innovation. I've never heard of a project that says let's take care of the mental well-being of our students. Remember, again, a child who is not happy will not be able to learn well. I do remember this because I met the NCR director. I've met him so many times. Director, forgot his name. He's a wonderful director, and one of his key projects when I think he was in region, Director Malcolm. Director Malcolm, I saludo ako sa kanya because when I first heard about his project, I think in Region 1 before he came to NCR, one of his key project did not even focus much on the instruction. They actually focus on making schools as happy places, happy and safe places. That's Director Malcolm, and I love his project because when he explained it, it makes sense. Right? A student who is not happy, a student who's not healthy, will not be able to learn well. So parang sayang din yung innovation natin. Remember, also, just a heads up for a lot of schools right now, you cannot call your innovation an innovation if there's no impact on your students.
Yeah.
Kasi ang dami nating nakikita ngayon, o gawa ka ng innovation. Yung innovation po, hindi siya na-proclaim na innovation at the beginning of the conception of the
Mm-mm.
idea. An innovation, a project becomes innovative if there's a measurable impact. And if you want your instructional innovations to have impact, kailangan tingnan yung mga bata. Right? Masaya ba sila?
Yes.
Healthy ba sila? So maybe that's one thing that you could look into. I take inspiration from director Malcolm. I love his work. Which brings me back to the idea that maybe also, a happy teacher teaches well, 'di
Well,
ba? So, kung gusto natin ng good students and happy students, we need good and happy teachers. So
mm-mm.
maybe I will challenge the school leaders out there, whether private or public. Let's think of of programs that can help the mental well-being of our teachers. Just to share it to you, one of my closest friends, a principal in New York, Dr. Nadia Lopez, at the very start of the pandemic, she did not only open mental well-being support to students because she worked with high risk and vulnerable students. She also opened it for their teachers, and this is a public school. So even the teachers themselves have their own avenue. And sometimes teachers are so afraid to share their thoughts to their school leaders.
Mm-mm.
Kasi syempre 'di ba, ako minsan gano'n din yung feeling ng mga teachers. Nahihiya silang magsabi sa akin kasi ang una nilang tingin sa akin administrator, supervisor kita. If we want to give support also, maybe we can work with other institutions. I
Mm-mm.
do remember at the start of the pandemic, tama ba, Ivy and Luis, there were groups of psychologists, psychiatrists who were help or counselors who were, extending their help in terms of mental well-being. So I don't know, maybe that's my challenge for our dear school leaders. Don't just focus on instruction, holistic
Yes.
'di
Mhm.
ba?
To
So
add to that also, Jim, no, it's also no, to make our teachers happy. I think the teachers is not counting the salary. It's the salary that they're receiving. Because, di ba, at first talagang given na yon, di ba? I think what will make them happy and secure if the policies are in place, the system are in place, structures are not messy, they know where to go. Because if your teachers are guided well and they know what to do, especially this time of pandemic, yung hindi parang bago-bago, pag ganyan, o books naman, ganito, ganyan, ah, mabu-burn out yung teacher because they don't know where to go. So, I think, no, for administrator, so I myself as an administrator, no, I need to be very I have to study well, no? I really have to be very cautious with my policies because the teacher will rely on me on how they will deliver their responsibilities, diba? They as much as they really want to be excellent teachers, but if our policy is not in place, uh, we will have innovations at this pandemic, tapos we don't know what to do, and then trial and error, and then the teachers will be left hanging, and then you put another pressure and so on. And what do you expect from them? Of course, they will not complain because it's pandemic and they will understand. However, no, um, deep inside, no, with these teachers, no, they're asking, saan na ba talaga tayo papunta? Hanggang kailan matatapos to? And it's not helping them, no? They will deliver because that's expected of them, but the happiness, no, the I say the commitment is there, but you know the what do you call yung parang ano, yung puso.
fulfillment.
Oo, yung fulfillment. Yes, 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 that's right. The fulfillment of doing this the way they want it to be, no, as excellent teachers, no. It's really tormenting them because
Yeah.
it's the what's at stake here are the students, the parents, no. Sometimes they don't think about themselves na. Awayin na sila ng awayin ng parents, but they want to deliver no, the things that they want to deliver, diba? So, yun yung siguro dapat ding pag-isipan ng ating mga administrator.
You know, I agree with Ivy also. Of what you said a while ago, the fulfillment. That's why I mentioned a while ago at the beginning. We need to be careful, even as teachers, when we identify, when we speak to our school leaders, for example, is this burnout or is it demoralization? Because Ivy a while ago mentioned if teachers cannot find fulfillment, they're not happy with their work, even if they have the energy to do it, they keep on doing it but they are not happy anymore. That's basically that can lead to the demoralization, which
Yes.
does not include burnout, by the way. It's just that your core values as a person, it's not anymore aligned with what you want to do. as a professional. The worst thing that would happen is burnout na si teacher, demoralize pa si teacher.
Demoralize pa. Yes.
Oo. So that's the thing that we don't want to happen, because some teachers are burnt out, but their morale is so high
They're high.
because they
Yes.
will fulfill what they're. Ito yung classic na, "Thank you teacher, you're our hero. Not all heroes
Mm-mm.
wear cape."
Mm-mm.
Yung mga gano'n. And most of the time, that will make us smile as teachers. Galit na
Mm-mm.
galit ka na, 'di ba? Pero 'pag naintindihan na yung lesson mo, 'di ba? Parang feeling mo nanalo ka ng loto. So, I think that's the way we want to see. But I agree really. I think it's also important for school leaders and administrators to find, and most of this you do not have to wait for what the DepEd Central Office will say, because there
Mhm.
are already policies that says, let's take care of our teachers. It all boils down to what a school leader. That's why I love visionary school leaders who make a difference in their own schools. 'Di ba? Hindi
Yes.
naman siguro kasalanan na sabihin, "Oh, teachers, ngayong Wednesday na 'to, mag-Zumba tayo." Right? Next Wednesday, pag-usapan natin ang mga K-drama. And then on Thursday, let us welcome Ginang Enaje, who will teach cooking and those kinds of things. There
Yes,
are a lot
because one, ano,
we can
no,
do.
one manifestation of burnout, no, is being disconnected, no, being depersonalized with the work and with the community. I think, ano, in our experience, no, in Xavier, one manifestation of burnout is I don't feel I belong. I don't feel I am teaching. I don't feel I'm
Mhm.
a teacher because
Yes.
of the proximity and the modality. But good thing no that the school is innovative and of course very creative with the help of course with consultation with the teacher. So we have that afternoon, what is that, wellness, no? It's not compulsory. If you want to relax, go ahead, no? But if you don't want, you just want to go to sleep, o di matulog ka, di ba? But it's really good na you have some avenues. Wala lang, para lang makisit in ka lang, while cooking, nakikinig ka. So, kay Ginang Inahe sa kanyang putahin ni Inahe, di ba? Na, I don't know kung may natutuhan sila dun sa, parang puro katatawanan lang yata yung ginawa namin doon, di ba? 15-minute menu, parang mga ganyan. Or kay Mr. Pelea, music, no? I try ko din sana mag-guitar pero baka mabasag yung guitar, diba? So, and there are other things about beauty. I just attended about skin something, skin caring, no? While this week yun. And many others, no? So, one of the things that we could help our teachers, no, to ease burnout is to offer avenues, no, to uh, find their talents or interests, no? So I think that would be helpful because they don't have nga avenues like gimmick, 'di ba? Pasyal, mga ganyan. Wala na eh.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even like schooling, parang hirap mag-schooling, 'di ba? So maybe if the teachers have enough time, they can do short courses. Pero it's also good that the school could offer like mga Zumba. I think, no, my friends in Cebu, I think they have this Tuesday Zumba. And actually, pumupunta yata sila sa school. And they really do the live Zumba. Just for wellness yun kahit bawal. Parang mayroon silang ganon. Pero may physical distancing
With
naman.
social distancing.
Oo. So, 'di ba? Fun siya kasi at least you feel connected, you belong to community, you share stories, 'di ba? Parang andito tayo because we have the same desire, no, to get along with each other despite being trapped in pandemic. So, yun.
Can I add also and clarify, when we said teachers need to be happy, the happiness of the teacher doesn't mean that laging sinusunod yung gusto ni teacher. Hindi din po dapat gano'n. That's not also the case, right? Especially because there are also, let's be honest also as teachers, there are certain there's a point in our lives as professionals where our personal preference would come first. let's be honest, let's be also realistic. Limbawa ako, lagi ba akong ano, mabait for others, ganyan ganyan. Minsan not all the time. I sometimes sense that, my personal preference creeping out of me, and I would love to push that way so that it will not it will not cause inconvenience in me. Right? May mga ganun
Mm-mm.
de, let's be honest. There are some ulterior motive also. But remember, teachers, when we say teachers are happy, it's not the fulfillment or maybe the things that are being done or given to you. It's not just the happiness that, oh, everything that we want to happen is being followed, right? Let's be coming from an admin perspective. Schools have also to need to weigh things out before they make decisions, especially also when teachers do not agree with each other,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
right? In certain
Mm-mm.
policy or whatever. Or maybe sometimes we find ourselves at in a tight corner, in, for example, with a parent or whatever. Things like that. When we say happiness, hindi naman yung laging sinusunod yung gusto natin, especially if it's against the policy or maybe
Mm-mm.
it's not aligned to the
Yes.
policy or maybe it's just our personal preference. So
Yes.
let's also be careful with that. Please don't misconstrue our idea of happiness also there. Parang mga bata
Yes.
lang, 'di ba? Hindi naman lahat sinusunod natin yung gusto ng mga bata.
I think
So, professional.
it's more on when we talk about happiness of the teacher is by the bound of being a teacher, no? And it's helpful also that we conduct consultation. Because when we conduct consultation, we get to see different point of views, and it's up to the administrator, of course, to weigh pros and cons of of the if things that they're being laid to their concerns, no. So I think happiness meaning it's being secure, safe, and with direction on where to go as a teacher. So, it's not about salary. Okay, given na yon, may batas dun eh. So, we follow the law, di ba? So,
Oo,
uh,
may batas po 'yun, may
oo,
batas
so
hindi.
yun. So, pero lang like the direction and because the school is our community. That's our immediate community, diba? You cannot depend on the government. You depend on your school, diba? Because that's your immediate community where that's how you make a living and at the same time, help the community at the same time. So, I think if we have a strong community, uh, where everyone participates no in the maybe not really in the decision making but in the 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 thinking no thinking of how to make our community a better workplace, then I think that's will the happiness will begin. So I think that's what we're trying to say no yung happiness na yon. Hindi naman yung laging gusto namin magtaas ng sahod, bigay na. Hindi naman siguro hindi
May
naman
batas
yon.
may
Bigyan niyo
batas
kami
po
ng
'yun.
allowance na 500 a day. I think hindi naman yon kasi
Yeah.
of course there are parameters to be followed naman. So,
I love what Ivy has mentioned a while ago. Ako minsan, yung source of happiness minsan 'pag pinakinggan yung idea mo, kahit alam mong hindi siya, how do you call that? Even if they will not apply or follow what you've said, the mere fact that they stop and listened to your thought, I think that's also a way of fulfillment. So ang daming levels or sources of fulfillment as a teacher, right? So hindi lang, although yun nga yung challenge, if the feeling of burnout, the feeling of neglect or not being happy anymore overrides all those things, medyo yun yung challenging. That will be the most challenging part of it.
All right. That's so true, no? Just as there is a relationship between the school and the school leaders, I think it's important that we also consider that the leaders really meet the teachers halfway before they get to the breaking point, before they get to the tipping point. Just like with our relationships and our friendships here in the real world, I think it's really important that, just as to echo what Sir Jim was saying earlier, we have to meet them where they are right now, where they are, before they get to the point of no return. Now, which brings us to our fourth question, which is very related to what we were talking about. So we've established that yes, burnout is a real thing. Yes, stress is a real thing. Can be a good stress, can be a bad stress. Next question. How do you, Sir Jim, Miss Ivy, how do you personally handle stress in your own way? Like, what are the challenges you faced with these, and how do you deal with them? Sir Jim?
Akala ko si Ivy mo una. Ah, well, stress. That's one thing that I have come to accept really. The job of being a teacher is very stressful. Kasi even here's the thing, even if you try to prepare everything, the moment you step in a class, for example, ito nakakamiss yung face-to-face eh. Kasi like when you step in a class, even if you're very much prepared with all your materials, or naka-costume ka pa, all instructional, PowerPoint, everything, but the moment a student acts up, or maybe may nag-away, may ganito, ganyan-ganyan, yung stress level mo nandun na, right? But you wouldn't show that to your students. Instead, we learn how to manage our stress so that instead of stress putting us down, we use stress as our lift off to make sure that we manage things well and better. That's why you have very good teachers. You can see, for example, when I observe a teacher tas biglang may nanggulong bata, kita mo agad yung mukha ni teacher nagbabago. Stress, 'di ba? Kita mo na, ala, si teacher stress na. Pero after 5 seconds, 10 seconds, makikita mo ulit na, oy, ang galing ni teacher, 'di ba? Kita mong stress na siya, pero kalmado siya. Right? Kaya ang ganda ng ginawa niya ng processing, things like that. So one thing that I've learned really is, accept that stress will para siyang minsan magpa-pop out na lang out of nowhere. But you need to be very, very mindful in identifying saan ba yung source ng stress na 'to. So that when I know the source of stress, I can manage it. And it takes some experience, by the way. It takes experience. It doesn't mean that, well, may stress dito, alam ko na yung gagawin ko immediately. No, it takes experience. Like for example, sometimes we would say, I didn't really manage my stress level well. I think I could have done this. So it takes a lot of mindfulness, all those kinds of things. But I do remember the first time I got stressed, I had to pause, like in front of my student, strategically, like doing like this, mga ganyan. Pero sa loob ko, nagpo-pause na ako kasi kung if I will react, medyo mataas yung emotions ko eh. Alam ko na matatalo ako. Right? Alam ko na talagang matatalo ako sa harap ng mga bata. So, that's before the pandemic. Now at the pandemic, it was very difficult to handle stress because there are different jobs that you need to do. At some point, I just need to be honest also, at some point, napapabayaan ko din yung sarili ko. 'Di ba, ang late ko nang matulog kasi kailangan may tapusin, na requirements, policies, these things and this, that. We need to check modules, we need to check slides because, like for example, I check K to 6, Ivy checks K to 12. So, but the deadline is every Friday, right? So you need to exchange with your teacher. So time management. And then I work with my teachers and say, you know what? So that it's easier for both of us. Maybe you can send your modules, your slides, your assessment for checking Monday and
Mhm.
Tuesday, so that I have time to give it back to you, so that Wednesday, Thursday, you can edit and bring it back to me. So, or maybe you can submit it 1 week earlier if that's okay with you. We can work on that. And interestingly, if everything is settled between you and the teacher, I'm speaking as an administrator, things could go well, would go well really. However, it doesn't mean that everything's perfect. Sometimes there are teachers na magkakasakit. So may substitution, right? So it will add to your unexpected work. As magsa-substitute ka, syempre titingnan mo yung lesson, aaralin mo. Matatanggalan ka ng oras to do your admin job. So it takes some time, but one thing that I really do is number one, time management. Second, pag hindi ko na talaga kaya,
Mhm.
I stand up and go out of my room, walk. as in well,
Mhm.
not outside the street. Just in the it's just in the ano, corridor ba. Just walk and get some air. Because I know myself, I will not function well if I know that the stress is affecting me negatively. Mas marami akong mako-commit na mistake, and that will come and bite me in the ano, in the behind after when I realize na na ang dami ko na palang nagawa, that's mali pa pala because I acted when I was not thinking well. So there.
Mhm.
Tapos kain, kain. So sometimes I tell myself you deserve it, but I try to control. So there. I don't know with Ivy. Maybe let's listen to Ivy.
Nako, it's really, in my part, really, it's hard to manage stress. Because, I'm a, you know, very reactive person. In all my target setting, laging transcend emotion. So what you see is what you get talaga. Pag nisin ako, what? Gaganon talaga ako. So yung mga ganyan. So it takes time also and, practice, no, on really how to control yourself. So when I was a teacher, really, I erupted in front of my teacher, of my students, really. They're afraid of me because really I have this temper, no? But as you grow older with the profession, you learn that uh, when you're in your high emotion, your judgment is clouded and everything will go wrong. So uh, now it's pandemic, our emotion is overflowing. No, we cannot handle our emotions right now because of the parang it's like combination of fear, of confusion, of uncertainty. Ang dami, 'di ba? So it takes time, really cliche to say, but being mindful, you really need to take time off talaga. Practice meditation. Ako, wala akong sense of meditation before. But really, it helped me this pandemic, no, to see myself in a silent moment, in a solitary moment. And of course, I really see a professional. I seek professional help. So until now, I'm still, from time to time, I talk to professional because sometimes we thought we're okay and yeah, we're stressed or we're kinda no not good today. Pero bukas kaya to, wala yan, may tapos din to. But actually, no, magpe-percolate lang siya, it will be compounded and then sasabog ka and actually you can't do anything. And it happened to me, no. So and if you need, no, if you really need to take time off, I am telling this to my teacher, no, uh, kung kailangang mag-leave, leave. Kailangang mag-leave, leave. No? So, ako, I took a leave, 1 week leave. Inubos ko na yung wellness leave ko. Because I cannot perform. I cannot even read the unit plan and understand them. 10 years ko na yung binabasa. But I cannot understand the next lesson plan, kung ano-ano sinasabi ko. So I really have to step back, get out of my work, no, do something away from computer. Literally for 1 week, I did not open my laptop. Literally. And then social media off, no? Social media will eat your soul. So please don't engage in social media if you do not have that courage, no? If
Yeah.
you're very political, no? If you do not have that courage, wag na kayong mag-social media. If you think your GC, your group chat is not helping you, leave the group chat and tell your teammates or your heads na if there's an urgent meeting, if there's an urgent concern, please email me na lang. So that will help, no? Because hindi siya kawalan, hindi siya kawalan. As long as you are delivering your responsibility, no? And I think if at first, no, I told my teachers, no, if you really need to take a leave, take a leave. We have wellness leave, no, you have sick leave, no. gamitin nyo na yan. May tax yan eh. So, gamitin nyo na lang kaysa i-tax kayo. Diba? So, yun. Saluhan, no? And to establish also kung ano yung camaraderie, no, and trust among your department, saluhan. So I think it's important that you establish your community na nagkakaunawaan kayo, no, each of you are dealing with different stresses at home, no, and it's not helpful kung magbibilangan pa tayo kung sino ang maraming absent at kung sino ang laging nagsasab, no. So, and I also tell my teachers, say no. Alam niyo naman, 'di ba? If our admin say you're great in this and that and this, you will be part of this committee and you will be this and that. Ang dami na, 'di ba? And you realize, ang dami ko na palang ginagawa. Umuo ka because you are a firm, but actually you are a firm but you'll get burned out at some point. And it happened to my teacher. So, ang sabi niya sa kanyang wellness leave, burn out. Oh, kasi umuo ka ng umuo. Pinagalitan ko. Umuo ka kasi ng umuo. Ilan yon? Di ba sinabi ko sa'yo? Dapat hindi. So, yon. So, I really tell my teachers, say no. Know yourself. Okay? Reflect. Ano ba lang ang kaya ko? If I do this, what are the sacrifices that I will make? Will I sacrifice my well-being, my family? Then, if I will not do this, will it demerit me? Tatanggalin ba ako sa trabaho? Then if not, then say no. Because those tasks will be there. Pero yung buhay mo, yung pagkatao mo, yung kalusugan mo, will never last. Baka bukas atakihin ka na. Yung task nandyan pa, ikaw wala na. So take care of yourself. Know your limits. Know your capacity. And then know your limits. No? And then, take some time off. Mag-break kayo, mag-enjoy kayo, mag-walking kayo, o mag-Netflix kayo, what else? Do something else, music, dancing, whatever. Ang dami yung pwedeng gawin. So, yun.
Online shopping daw.
Online shopping, if you have the capacity to online, go, share na lang sa amin yung kaya yung budol-budol dyan.
Yeah. Oh, let me just add also kay Ivy. I think because we will be opening for the forum na. Number one, I think right now, siguro let's also change the way we see mental well-being. A lot of us medyo kasi hindi pa naniniwala na kailangan nating alagaan yung mental well-being natin. Some of us still that's why, for example, both halimbawa si Ivy, he checks in with a professional counselor. I was also checking and alam medyo mahal, pero for me it's okay. But sometimes it's very interesting because when I share this, it's always there's a question na bakit nababaliw ka na ba? Ano yung parang there's this recognition or mindset that when you check on a professional, parang it's always negative or it's always there's what you call a stigma. There's always this stigma that is associated with seeking professional help, right? And the fact that you're saying nababaliw ka na ba, it doesn't sound good. Don't ever say that, right? So ako, I would advocate. A lot of us are a lot of people are advocating. Let's take care of our mental well-being, and the fact that and if someone is seeking and having professional help, please remove that stigma. Please remove that stigma na just because may professional help or whatever, parang there's always that negative thing that comes with it. So please don't let's widen also our understanding. And most of the time it's butt of the joke for a lot of people, 'di ba? Na may nagpapatingin sa ganito, ganyan ganyan, siguro nababaliw na or whatever. Let's not talk about let's not keep on saying those things. Let's change our perspective. Also second, yung gusto ko yung sinabi ni Ivy, which is very real. Wag po tayo magbilangan. Kung may sakit po talaga siya, hayaan natin siyang mag-take a break, 'di ba? A lot of us kasi in the end, parang minsan kasi nagiging competition. Yung collaborative, yung sense of community nawawala because we see each other as competition. Systemically, I don't know if the system really pushes that idea. right? Yung competition and all those kinds of things. But I think it's very important what Ivy has mentioned about camaraderie, about yung nagsasaluhan kayo. Kasi kung ikaw naman ang magkakasakit, alam mo rin na may sasalo sa'yo. 'Di ba? Parang we have each other's back. You scratch mine, I'll scratch yours. So things like that. So there. So maybe I don't know. Those are the things that we want to share based on
Siguro,
our experience.
just to point it out, no, based on my experience and with, also conversation with my teachers, no, with the teachers and the department. I know in some institution maybe really it's hard, no. We're just lucky, no, that our institution is doing something. But for other institution, maybe they're kind of no nakakalungkot, no. Um, pero there's a law. There's a law, 'di ba? Sick leave. Sick leave, pwede mo i-sick leave yun, 'di ba? May batas yun eh. Gamitin mo siya as sick leave. So, it cannot be taken against you. Kaya nga sick leave yun eh. So,
Karapatan. Karapatan mo
karapatan mo yun, 'di ba? So, if you feel you are sick, then ang sickness ngayon is not defined naman as nilalagnat ka at nagka-COVID ka. Yun ang sickness. Hindi yun. If you really feel bad, di ka makabangon, ang sakit ng ulo mo, ang bigat ng dibdib mo, gusto mong umiyak pero hindi ka makaiyak, mag-leave ka na ate, sir. 'Di ba? Kasi hindi yan makakatulong. And then tomorrow, pagod ka uli. Wala ka na mabibigay. At lalong hindi ka magiging efficient at magiging hindi effective. And for the administrator also, no, that's my my parang appeal to them. Once your teacher said na hindi naman araw-araw yan, grabe pag araw-araw need na talaga ng help yan, 'di ba? Yung pag nagsabi niya, "Miss, I cannot talaga deliver the module today because I have this heavy head, ang bigat ng katawan ko, ganyan." Maybe someone can do that. Sana din, no, i-accept din yung reason na ganyan. Kasi mahirap talaga ang buhay. So I think, no, for our teachers, have the courage, no. Your students will understand. And actually, if they learn na may sakit ka, baka ma-motivate silang mag-aral kasi nagkasakit ka dahil sa kanila. O wag naman na magkasakit ka. But, in our experience, pag nawawala ang teacher, where is teacher? Oh, she is sick. O pagbalik mo, teacher, are you okay na? O di ba? So yung burnout mo napalitan na ng inspiration uli at ng motivation. So, yes, take care of yourself para pagbalik mo sa klase nakangiti ka na uli.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tuscano and Miss Ivy, for those very warm words of assurance and encouragement. So at this point, it is now time to hear from our audience. Let's have a look at the questions that we were able to gather from them. And of course, we'd like to encourage the audience to just keep those questions coming. It's now time for the open forum. Let's have a look at those questions.
Do we have questions?
From the audience that we'd like to ask our beloved panelists for today. Maybe you have some additional questions or comments on what they said. All right. We have from Miss Nori Eknar, who will listen and care to the teacher's agony. We are very little ones. We were tasked to follow because in the end, no one would help to fulfill our job. The system says, kung pagod ka na, edi mag-resign ka na. That's a very good question we have here. I think anyone can jump in and take this very good question. Miss Ivy.
Mauna ka pa, Ivy.
Why don't you take this question?
Alam nyo, di ba? Parang nalulungkot ako dyan pag naririnig ko. We're just small. We are big, di ba? Well, sorry, baka pa mag-rally ako dito, di ba? There's always the proper forum, no? It will not hurt you if you write your administrator, air it to your, principals, or yeah, it will not hurt you. Just put it into writings. The best way is to let it um, work in a very professional way. Don't vent out in social media. It will put you more into a more troubling situation. So better to put into writings. Hindi man nila matugunan yan, at least nasabi mo, 'di ba? Resibo, 'di ba? Ebidensya na may nangyari, no? And I think well, it's also good if, sometimes, di ba, for example, us in our institution, we have this faculty and staff association, KAMPA, di ba? Maybe if you have also that in your schools, teachers association, to represent your voice, it's also good, di ba? Na at least no the venue, the avenue is, between the dialogue between the administrator and the teacher. So some institution they would have unions, no? Mga legal unions, 'di ba? So they can use that as an avenue for dialogue. So I think no, if there's none, then you can do that individually, write it, put it into writing, no, so that your sentiment will reach the administrator. That's only our weapon. That's the weapon that we can do, no? Put everything into writing. So, yeah. Ayoko na
I
magsalita kasi baka
Yeah, I
ano.
agree. I agree with Ivy, but let's also change the mindset that we are small. Hindi po dapat sabi nga nila we are the most noble
Mm-hmm.
profession, 'di ba? But here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your principals, your school leaders are meant to be there. They don't just act as, managers. They don't just act as instructional leaders. They are also supposed to take care of teachers. So, if walang nakikinig sa inyo, number one, dapat ang makinig yung principal po ninyo or school leaders ninyo. Pag hindi po nakikinig yung school leaders or principals ninyo, may hierarchy po yan. 'Di ba? Nasa DepEd din po 'yan. Nasa schools din 'yan. Required ang mga schools na may hierarchy, whether private or
Mm-hmm.
public, chain of command. Kasi po yung chain of command, hindi lang po 'yan utos. Yung mga utos-utos lang, here are your works. That also involves supervision. Supervision also means taking care of your subordinates. 'Di ba tama, Ivy? So taking care of your subordinates also. So if you go the rank. And I love what Ivy has mentioned, yung writing. I do remember before, like tama ba Ivy? By our priest, Jesuit priest lawyer, document, document, document. Lagi kayong dapat may documentation of the things that might not be bother or that might be bothering your communication, screenshots and everything. Those are legal, by the way, to keep documentation of the things that are done. So there. Medyo sad lang if the school head do not listen. Medyo yun yung nakakasad dito. But please do take note that there are there are ways for you to have your voice heard, right? Like Ivy has mentioned a while ago, or some organizations would help you, all those kinds of things. But always make sure that you speak out your thoughts to your supervisors or maybe your school heads. So may hierarchy eh. Tapos if you go back kasi, if you skip the hierarchy, if you go to the highest level like the president, si president ibababa din naman yan eh. Sasabihin niya na nakausap mo na ba ang immediate supervisor mo? Pag hindi,
Mm-hmm.
ibababa din lang yan. Right? So that there's a reason why we have those kinds of things. So there.
Right. It's really about putting everything in writing, know who to talk to, and of course, let yourself be heard. So for our next question, um, from Mr. Rex Verdida, how do you deal with people that have a crab mentality? So how do you deal with those kind of people?
Ah, masaya yan. Ibabad sila sa Sprite. Joke lang.
With butter
With butter and
Then
and
garlic
shut
garlic.
up.
and chili,
Shut up, yan.
chili sauce. Yeah.
Oo. That's actually no. ah, Crab mentality. Actually, the crab, they're not bullying each other. Actually, they're helping each other to climb up. It's just that their scale, ay scale ba yun? Exoskeleton is slippery. That's why parang bumababa sila. But actually, the crab, they're helping each other to climb up to, get out of the basket or the timba, diba? Actually, that's the real idea of those crab, no, climbing up, no? It's not helping each other pulling down, helping. Kaya lang, because it's slippery, no, the exoskeleton is slippery. Exos ba yun? Exos, whatever. Oo, science teacher, sorry. Ayun. Kaya sila bumababa. But the concept, sige, let's go back to the concept. No? Filipino teacher ako bigla. Okay. Uh, uh, we can't really help no the individual differences, no, individual differences and values. And if you are a good spirit person, wag ka na focus on your values. Focus on your values, no? If you let these people eat your soul, magagaya ka din sa kanila. So, focus on your values, work fairly, uh, do your job as expected of you, and I
Mhm.
think that's it, no? The merit will be given to you because of your work. And those people who are doing that, if they are doing something illegal to you, sinisiraan ka na, kasuhan mo. 'Di ba? Pero yun nga, ebidensya. No, I'm saying, sorry. I mean like, 'di ba, mga oral defamation, oh, that's legal. Or if you have the courage to
Yeah.
do that, 'di ba? Then complain to your administrator. This person is, 'di ba, parang attacking me personally. 'Di ba? Ni-name names niya talaga, nag-drop names talaga siya. And there's an evidence or a document, and then put it into writing and tell your supervisor, 'di ba? No, you don't have, huwag ka nang makipagmarites. Just put everything into writing, no? And just work fairly. Do your job fairly. And siya na ang bahala doon. So, in every workplace, I think may ganon, no? As long as you know yourself. Know yourself. Sino ka ba? Ano ka ba? Do
Mhm.
not jeopardize your values with this kind of people. So, I think yun lang ang masasabi ko.
Ako, I stick with
Yes, I
my
think.
answer. Ibabad sa Sprite. Joke lang. For crab mentality, here's the thing for crab mentality. I've worked with different teachers, and I would always advise them that, when you're creating a project, when you're working a project, and most of the time, those projects, innovation, help you kasi, like in your promotion, in your performance appraisal. But here's the thing, I always remind them, when you share your project, it should not be about you, right? Kaya nadyajahe minsan, tama ba yung word, Miss Ivy? Nadyajahe minsan yung mga ibang teachers. Because there are some people who would present, they know that the school is a collaborative community, and yet when they present themselves, it's all about them. It's not even about the student, right? So what I tell the teachers whom I'm mentoring, for example, when we have innovation projects, remember that this project is not about you. The recognition that this project works and it's attributed to you, it's bonus, 'di ba? Hayaan mo sila yung sabi, "Uy, ang ganda ng innovation ni Ivy, ang galing-galing niya." Huwag tayo yung tipong, "Innovation ko ito, dahil ako ay, ako, nakalimutan mo na yung bata." Sometimes, because I've heard about the crab mentality thing when I work with teachers, and most of the time when I hear, kasi sir, feeling nila nagmamagaling ako lagi. Then I ask them, how do you present ba your idea? Tapos pag kinukwento niya, isa-isip-isip ko rin, okay, let's try to change, rephrase the way you present your ideas. Because if you are working in a school and they say that it's a collaboration, it your ego, your your personhood takes backstage. 'Di ba?
Mm.
Uunahin mo yung saan ba tayo puwedeng magkatrabaho and all those kinds of things. Although it doesn't also mean that talagang wala talagang meron minsan talagang may crab mentality din talaga ng mga ibang tao. Kung may gano'n, 'wag na po silang don't add them kasi source of stress pa 'yan. Stress ka na nga sa parents, stress sa teacher, stress ka sa school head mo, may crab mentality pa sa ano mo, 'wag mo na silang pansinin. The more that you pansin them, the more that they're happier, by the way. I don't know if that makes sense.
Thank
Yeah. And also, I think, no, well, it's a call also for the administrator to establish culture of collaboration. And
Yeah.
your work is not about you, it's about the students. Anything that you do excellently is not about you, it's about your student. So kung meron kayong ginawa as a group, dahil at para sa estudyante yon. Of course, you will get merit from that, no? Pero, ang end goal mo lagi ay estudyante. So as, kung mediocre yung trabaho mo, estudyante din ang magsasuffer niyan. And of course, you
Mm-mm.
will suffer also kasi mediocre din yung ginawa mo, di ba? So,
Yeah.
I think, yes, the self-care, no? Self-care is you alagaan mo yung sarili mo na huwag kang maapektuhan ng mga sasabihin sa'yo, especially naman
Mhm.
if you are doing it fairly, humanely, di ba? Based on the objective of the school, wala ka namang inaapakan, hindi mo naman sinolo ang credit, it's a collaborative effort, tapos lahat kayo doon nag-effort. Then, self-care. Oo, wag mo nang isipin yan. Okay na ako, okay ka na, nagawa mo na yun. Oo,
Dadagdag pa.
dagdagan mo pa siya. O dagdagan mo na ng trabaho, magmamagaling ka pala, o di ikaw na lang. O, 'di ba? Sige, nag-comment siya, o paggawa mo yung ano, nagsabi siya, ay pangit yung ginawa mo, o sige, ayusin mo, ikaw pala may alam. Ganun lang yun.
I just want to echo with what Miss Ivy was mentioning earlier. Um, just know your worth and let your work speak for you. That should be more than
Yeah.
enough. Yes, know your worth. For our next question, um, what will you do if you can't relate to the personality and belief of your co-teacher? So how do we deal with that? Anyone can
Sorry,
jump
anong
in
No,
for
question?
this question.
Ano yung
sorry.
question?
Uh,
Ano yung question?
what what can you do if you can't relate to the personality and belief of your co-teacher?
Ano ba to,
Oh,
religion ba pinag-uusapan niya?
oo
Ano ba
nga.
to?
Ako
Politika ba to?
ay yung iniisip ko diyan lagi ano, um, find a common ground. Don't don't don't
Mm-hmm.
don't let your differences be the reason why you won't work with that person.
Mm-hmm.
Medyo bumalik ka din sa sarili mo. Bakit? Minsan baka feeling mo siya yung kailangan mag-adjust. Hindi professional tayo. Lahat tayo mag-a-adjust sa isa't isa, right? And most of the time, the better person is the one who takes the first step,
Yeah. And I think
right?
also, no, if you belong to an institution, your common ground is your institution. What is the mission and vision of your school?
Yes.
Then, lahat kayo, because you enter in that institution, magsasubmit kayo into that mission and vision. Diba?
Mm,
So, yan yung grounds ninyo. Now, with regards to your personal
believe.
affiliation or whatever belief, no,
Yung
then you carry your own brand, diba? You carry your own, I will not say color, but I
identity.
your own ano
Personality.
ideology, diba? Your ideology or whatever. As long as ako naman ganito, as long as we are teachers and you know that we are teachers, we have this moral responsibility to be grounded on facts and information, right information. Now, you say, teacher, your information is different from my information. I'd say the information that is validated not only by your group, but majority, by study, peer reviewed, or studied by other group of people outside, let's say from the Philippines, or studied outside other institution abroad, no, to validate our information. You see, diba? That's the truth and the information that we want to uphold, no? If your truth is just because you are just a fan, sorry, a fan, or maybe a relative, or maybe in one instance in your life, you benefited from that truth, and that is your truth, then maybe reflect also what happened to those people when you benefited from the truth, they were marginalized. So I think that's
Thank you
then
so
you,
much.
Yeah.
then you look
Mm-hmm.
at that ground, diba? You look at the ground. So
Yeah.
Yes.
it happened to
Yes.
me, no? It happened to me. I have friends who are in different religious affiliation, in different political affiliation, different school setting. I came from UP, they came from Arneo. Oh, kayong Arneo kayo, diba?
Wow.
So, yon. So, I'm branding now.
Nay.
Tayo-tayo lang naman to, diba? Tayo-tayo lang naman to. So, we have different, diba, perspective and see how we think, but we have common grounds, and that is humanity. And that is being humane to each other. So, yun na lang. Doon na lang tayo para wala ng away. World peace.
Or the
Yeah.
students at the center, 'di ba?
Yes, oo, at the center, no, always. And always, no, you have your brand, but you always present the facts and information for the students to critique, to validate, and let them decide. No, again, with this moral ground, it is humane. It's for humanity.
Thank you for being so bold with that, so sincere, Miss Ivy. So, yes, we have our convictions, we have our principles, we stand by them. At the same time, let's get the job done together. If that's what's needed, if that's what's entailed, let's do it. We all have common ground. All right. So, we have time for a couple more questions. For our next one, what should we do if the sources of our burnout and our demotivation are the parents of our beloved students? So, what should we do if the sources are the parents of our students?
Um, maybe puwede nating himayin 'no? Let's dissect.
Mhm.
Tama ba, Ivy? Let's dissect that question. Because number one, you cannot refuse the participation of the parents because they are stakeholders, right? You cannot say, "Ivy, you have been my source of stress. I will teach your child, but please don't talk to me." You cannot do that. Kasi 'di ba, cliche nga, lagi niyong sinasabi stakeholders ang mga parents. Yung iba nga hindi stakeholders, partners in the education of every learner. But it's also good, for example, to know, number one, ano ba yung ginagawa, what is that parent doing to you? Is the student come is the parent just coming in to your school and say, PTC, yung pop in, yung anong tawag doon, yung surprise parent teacher conference. At some point you can accommodate sometimes. If you cannot accommodate, then you can just say, let's schedule next time or whatever. But if parents are too demanding, then we define what is too demanding. Because for me, if I'm a parent and I think the things that you're telling my kids are not correct, like for example, instruction in the homework, and I call you, diba? And the homework is already for tomorrow, and you gave it today. Do I need to respect your time and say, oh, I just call my teacher 7:30 to 5 p.m. because that's her work time. Eh, teacher, nagpa-deadline ka kasi tapos hindi pa maayos yung instruction mo. There are some there are some instances where the parents will email you outside the work or what call you or whatever. So I think we need to clarify that. But if it borders harassment, for example, or whatever, it's too much na, right? Then if you cannot address the parent anymore, that's the time. That's why nga you have your school leaders, because they should be supporting you. They should be helping you in facing these parents already, because as teachers we can just manage this um according to our own capacity. And if it's too much already, I do remember, if I have a teacher, they will always say to me, sir, I need your help for with this kind of parent. This parent emailed me this and that. Kindly help me. How do I respond to this? Or pag PTC, sir, samahan mo naman ako pero may kasama ako na witness. That's okay. That's okay also. So yeah, very important. Um, you need to clarify medyo kasi I don't wanna, and it's really difficult to answer this if there are no specific things the parents are doing. 'Di ba? I don't know if you would agree with me, but the motivation due to parents. I want to be more specific really of what the parent is doing. But if it's bordering too much na harassment or whatever, that's the time when you go to your school leaders and ask for their help.
Tama,
So yun.
oo. Siguro ako lang, ah, what will I siguro share is how to prevent that. And we cannot prevent that, but
Mm-hmm.
at least we have these precautionary measures or what do you call that? Procedures, no, to avoid that. So first, your policy should be clear. Okay, kunyari, like yung module, ibibigay, kukuhanin, i-check, kailan, time, ganon. Okay? So if those procedures are in place, then there's no doubt, there's no room, no, for for parents to complain because nakaayos siya eh, 'di ba? Now, if the teacher is asking about instruction, if the parents are asking about instruction, hindi ko maintindihan to, nagsusungit na siya, no, then first, we evaluate our module. Baka naman kasi mahirap din. Remember, ako, di ko kayang turuan ng math at calculus ang anak ko. Parang awa nyo na. Mai-stress talaga ako kung parent ako, di ba? So maybe we look at the module. How can we make it easier for the students and for the parents, di ba? So yun. So we can evaluate that. Then also we can help, we manage also the way we dialogue. I say use the word always dialogue with the parents. Ask where they are coming from. Ma'am, saan po ba ang problema natin dito sa module? Ako, for example, Filipino, we don't need Filipino in Savior. You don't speak Filipino at home. It's useless. That's Yaya's language. Ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. O naloka, pag ako hindi nagrally na ako sa kanya, diba? So what I do, I explain to the parent, no, why we have to study Filipino and all and everything, no. Once they understand the rationale of it, they will stop, no, nagging, no, and then, harassing us, if that's the term, no. So I know it's an effort, but if the parents are being yun nga unreasonable na, no ba? Kumbaga na-exhaust mo na lahat ng procedure and ways, no, to help them because we understand their context, no? Especially now in the modality that we have. Mahirap talaga sa parents, no? Lahat na exhaust na and still the parents kind of very difficult. Then it's time to relay that, sabi ni Mr. Tuscano, to your supervisor. Okay? And then let your supervisor help you. That's her or his job to help you, no? To facilitate communication, no? To arbitrate pag hindi nyo na kaya. So teachers also again, know yourself. Ano lang ang kaya mo. Kung hindi mo na kayang i-explain, ask help. Ask help.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Now, we have time for one more question. I think it's a very intriguing question, and I'd really love to hear what our panelists have to say about this one. Okay, so for our last question, paano pag sabihin ni school head, you are paid from Monday to Sunday? Kaya, kahit weekend may pinapagawa si boss. Ayan. Paano po pag ganyan?
Oh, number one, there are labor code. Sa labor code po, let's Monday to Sunday, bawal po yan sa labor code ha. Dapat may rest day si teacher. Regardless if you're teacher or any work, labor code, look for, I don't know, conditions of employment, book 3. Conditions, title, working conditions and rest periods. 24-hour rest period, that's I think the general, because there are some work that goes to from Monday to Saturday. Okay, that I think that's okay. Pero sa law natin, sabi natin, there's a Sunday rest. And if you're being asked, there should be also compensation to work
Yes,
outside.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
sorry
Yes.
to that school head,
Tama.
you should not be saying that because if you say that to your
Mhm.
teacher, number one, medyo hindi po siya sang-ayon sa law. Tama ba? Monday
Mhm.
to
Yes.
bakit si school head ba nagtatrabaho ng Monday to Sunday? Kahit nagtatrabaho si school head na
Mm.
Monday to Sunday, Eh, kung
Tama.
trip niya, hayaan natin, trip niya yun, eh, pero huwag siyang mandamay ng iba.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi ano, that's against the law.
Yes, yes. Yes, nasa ano 'yon, labor code 'yan, no? Walang exemption. Otherwise merong ano yung
Competition.
rotational. Like for example, na-assign ka Sunday or Saturday, pero Tuesday and Wednesday off ka naman. So
Okay.
parang may rotation because maybe of work,
Uh-huh.
ano 'yon, of manpower. Pero you should
Yes.
not be deprived of that 2-day rest, no? I You should check the law. Check the law, teachers. We are teachers. You know your rights. Okay, know your rights. Okay. Uh, what else? For women, you have Magna Carta for women. For mothers, meron yon.
Maternity
So
leave,
check
yung
on
mga
that.
ganyan, yeah.
Okay. For solo parent, you have that. No. For
Mm-hmm.
fathers, you have also that. May mga leave din kayo. So know your rights. Be knowledgeable of the law. We do not want to circumvent the law, but at the basic, no, hindi porket pinapasahod tayo ay ibig sabihin nun ay
Yes.
lahat ng minuto ay ibibigay natin. So, we are bound by the law. So, check the law.
Yung siguro yung pag-uuwi ng task, like if you wanna work on the weekend, it's your decision as a teacher, right? It's your decision as a teacher. Because some of us, we bring home work and then we work during the weekend. But it should not be a forced practice in the institution. Like for example, I will require all my teachers during the weekend they will not report on site, but they will bring home their
Mm.
work. And I expect that they finish it come Monday. No, bawal po yun, yung hindi po din pwede.
Mm-hmm.
Pero halimbawa si Ivy sabi niya, kasi nag-leave ako halimbawa sasabi ni Ivy, nag-leave ako nung Monday, medyo huli na ako sa deadline. Iuwi ko na lang tapos gamitin ko na lang yung Saturday morning. That's your choice. That's your choice as a person, right? Decision mo yun, eh, wala namang pumipilit sa'yo. But walang forced practice of that. Siguro yung Monday to Saturday, that's still possible because some profession have that, 'di ba? Pero they are still they still have a weekly or one day rest day. Required yan, eh. I'm pretty sure. Yun.
All right. So if there you have it, to all the listeners and the watchers over there, let's all be well versed with the labor code. We need to know our rights. We deserve at least one rest day. Thank you, Mr. Toscano, and thank you, Miss Ivy. Okay, and that officially ends our open forum for today. But don't worry, I'm sure a lot of you still have a lot of questions. They will all be forwarded here at Tag Pros Education, our Facebook page, and we will do our very best to give you the answers that you seek from our guest panelists from today. So stay tuned. Now, I want you to tell us what you thought about today's webinar workshop. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, we will be sending the evaluation link. So again, the link is presented on the screen. It's on the screen as well as the comment section. All right. But first, I would like to thank our beloved speakers for today, Mr. Tuscano and Miss Ivy. Thank you for imparting your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your time and for everything that you've imparted on all of us. And all of us teachers, myself, will really take this with us all the way till the end of the day and even beyond that. Thank you again to our guests.
Thank you, Luis.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Safe teachers.
Stay safe.
Ingatan po ang sarili.
All right. So thank you again to our guest panelists. So again, the link is in the comment section and on the screen. All right. It's over there. So as I mentioned, answering this evaluation form is necessary for claiming your e-certificates. All right. You have 1 week to answer the evaluation form to get an e-certificate. Okay. All right. And that also ends our webinar workshop and this webinar workshop series. Okay. We will be going on a break for now, but don't worry and please stay tuned because we will be back. We will all be back on November 6th. All right. So don't forget that link. Don't forget to fill it out within the week. There we go. It is on the screen. There we are. All right. As always, keep updated with the Tagpros education by following our official social media pages. Invite your family and invite your friends as well. Again, I am Luis, and thank you so much for joining us today. Goodbye and have a great day.
As we transition to the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and Tagpros learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because Tagpros believes that education is a right all children deserve.